Pass the popcorn. 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 Pass the popcorn.
Welcome to Alternate Ending, where we're discovering good movies, one bad movie at a time. I'm your host, Carrie Jarasinski. Across from me is my friend, Brennan Klein. And we also have our very own critic in residence, Harry Asa.
Am I not your friend?
Oh, no. I think we've established long ago that that's just not possible.
I've known you so much longer than you.
I know, but I wanted to say Harry Asa again.
I get that. Was that our last episode, or was that a couple
It's
episodes
hard to
ago?
say. It sticks with me. It's
Time is a
It might have been like 3 or 4 episodes ago.
It feels like yesterday. It feels like yesterday that we learned that Tim almost was called Harry Asa, and my life really ultimately became complete at that time.
I still very vividly remember it looked like you were going to like split an eyeball open with like just the pressure.
I did. It's been a little bit blurry in the left one ever since, but nevertheless, this is Pass the Popcorn, where we're here to share what we've been watching and discuss whatever the heck else we want to for longer than we always expect. But today I am super, super excited because I have two people who are Halloween movie aficionados with me. But with Halloween also upon us, we're here to talk about the best thing ever, our number one sort of go-to movie, like the go-to Halloween movie that gets us in the mood, like gets us in the spirit.
Get your Halloween juices
you're
flowing.
like, gotta see it. I gotta see it every year. Or maybe that's part of my criteria. We'll get there later. But Halloween is only, we got 2 weeks before Halloween.
Shh, we don't need to talk about that. It's coming. It'll be here when it's here.
What are you guys going to be for Halloween?
Tired.
I am going to be sitting on the couch watching movies with Ben. I don't really do costumes. I grew out of my theater kid phase, and I feel like I did it. I wore everything I wanted to wear, and I just feel like I'm good.
I very nearly, I almost had a relationship crisis that got dodged very nicely. My partner, his sister is throwing a Halloween party on the evening of the 29th, the Saturday of Halloween weekend, to which I was invited. Unfortunately, by the time that invitation had been passed to me, I had already purchased what are, I think, very exciting tickets to go see Dario Argento's 1977 classic Suspiria, with Goblin playing the soundtrack live.
Oh yeah, fuck that Halloween party.
I mean, so I'm not going to the Halloween party, but in the process of discussing this, and he was fine with that, and he was like, well, I get it, you already have the tickets, Suspiria matters to you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He asked, what I would have got dressed as, and I was like, oh, well, I wouldn't have dressed. I don't dress as, I'm a fucking grown-up. I don't wear costumes. And it caused, like, a chill.
Yeah.
So I lucked out that I had this wonderful Suspiria experience to go to, because otherwise I think it might have resulted in our breaking up. Not really.
No, but
not
really,
but...
like I feel that. Like I think one of the ties that bind Rob and I together are our love of Halloween costumes. So we are fully dressing up, and we do every year, and it's always over the top, and it's always weird, and it's always excessive. And even though I like secretly like gripe to Rob about like spending money, about like how we should be like repurposing old costumes, like we can all be cats every year or like whatever, I secretly love it. So this year,
well, I'm glad
we get a lot of joy out of it because we are small. Still, I'm going as, well, I got demoted. I wanted to be a Sanderson sister, but I got demoted from one of the neighbors who's going to be, I wanted to be Kathy Najimy, and I got demoted to the cat. So I'm going to be the cat.
Oh, no.
That is not a demotion. That is a fucking... We forgot you needed an office, so we put you next to the boiler room in front of, like, the garbage disposal. Like...
I know. Way to make it more hurtful already. I was like, I mean, if I really think about who I am at my core, I mean, it's Kathy Najimy. But, like, again, the girl across the street was like, I want it. So it's like, am I fighting a 9-year-old for a Halloween costume? And the answer is yes. Like,
okay, well.
I think you should.
I understood this to be like the other moms were also
no, no one dresses up in our neighborhood but me. And I feel like this is at the core of like, this is in the moments where I'm like, this is just who I am at this point. Like, I get that it's weird, but I do have such intense Halloween nostalgia that conjures at this time of year that I'm like, I've got to do it. So I'm gonna continue it. I am the cat. It is a demotion, but I'll just take what I can get at this point. So my kids are going as the Sanderson sisters, and
You should go as Thora Birch. She's a young child playing an adult woman. You should be an adult woman playing a young child.
I love Thora Birch, but we'll get there later. Quick other side note, I got to tell you what Rob's going to do because I'm going to follow up to let you know if it plays out. 3 weeks ago, Rob like put this like scarecrow like structure in our yard. So it's like sitting in a chair. It's like but it's like in Rob's clothes. And then it's got this like hat, this big hat that's dangling over it and all these things. It's been sitting there for a few weeks. He's hoping that like all the kids in the neighborhood see it over and over again so they get used to it. And then on Halloween, he's planning on getting into the costume, into the chair, and then like slumping over. And when kids go to get their candy, he's planning on making them poop their pants. Like his ultimate goal is that they poop their pants by the time they get to our house.
I mean, that's a terrific plan, but you better fucking hope none of those kids listen to our fucking podcast.
It's true. I told them it's E. It's rated E. They shouldn't be listening to it. So it's their own fault if they are.
Dumb little shits.
E for everyone?
E for no one. No one should be listening to this. In fact, earlier today, somebody was like, can you remind me the name of your podcast again? At a Halloween party I was at. And I was like, no. I can't actually tell you what the name of it is. I never share it with anybody, which is great for our statistics. But nevertheless, here we are to talk about like I said, what's the one that All Hallows Eve. But before
let's get your pumpkins juiced.
All those.
What gets you jack-o'-lantern?
That's
okay.
It's late.
It's so late here.
I'm so tired.
We'll workshop that.
We'll workshop that one later. We can always edit it out, but I think you're going to get better from here. Before we get to the movies that I'm so excited to talk about, we also have to talk about our worth mentioning. So, Brennan, what have you seen since last we spoke, and what movie do you want to bring tonight?
Okay, so the movie I want to bring is something that Tim is no longer shackled to reviewing because it did not hit #1 because Smile claimed that slot in its second weekend.
Oh, but I've watched that film. I will be reviewing that film probably on Monday, the day this podcast goes live.
Okay, I'm so excited then. But I do want to talk about Lyle Lyle Crocodile.
Oh, boy.
How can you not want to talk about Lyle Lyle Crocodile?
Exactly. Okay, so it is a perplexing film. It stars... okay, I'm using this word incredibly loosely. It stars Shawn Mendes as the title character, Lyle Lyle Crocodile. I was a little nervous about Shawn Mendes performing as an actor, just because I've seen him in interviews and give quotes and stuff, and he's just got this very laid back stoner hippie, like I buy crystals at the store, kind of vacant quality that I did not think would really fit well with a singing crocodile, and it turns out I did not have to worry because he does not say a single word in the movie. Lyle Lyle is a character who speaks only through song, so really they just kind of pressed play on a Shawn Mendes song, and then it's basically the crocodile lip syncing for its life to Shawn Mendes, and there's really no distinct connection between Shawn Mendes' voice and the character of Lyle Lyle, which was extremely jarring to me. But yes, so it is Shawn Mendes singing new original songs by Pasek and Paul, who, as everybody knows and loves, did the music for Dear Evan Hansen, The Greatest Showman. They did the lyrics to La La Land, which is everyone's favorite part of La La Land, if you recall the lyrics. Loved them.
All of them, yeah.
Yeah, all the words that happen in La La Land, they're responsible for. And you probably know them for their best work, which is Get Back Up Again from Trolls, the movie.
Objectively, Truth is their best work.
Oh yeah, look, I sound sarcastic because that's the only way I talk, but no, that's a great song. But yeah, so it's a movie that Tim actually liked more than me, I think, because it's pretty. Is that accurate? An accurate assessment?
I liked it more because it didn't make me want to put my hand in a garbage disposal and like grind the bone out and use the bone to chop holes in my face.
Which movie has made you want to do that?
both of the ones that I'm going to be talking about tonight worth mentioning. So,
Right.
Mhm. Oh, I'm excited. I'm ready. But yeah, I mean, I think as a narrative object, it is extremely flawed. It is very vignette driven and just extremely broken, I would say.
it is extremely broken. I'd say for me, it is not harmful.
No.
Very. It is kind of harmful.
It is.
It's actually extremely harmful. Its explicit message is when your mother labors very hard to make sure you eat healthy food. Fuck her, she's a hippie. You should go dumpster diving.
Yeah.
Is the actual message of Lyle Lyle Crocodile.
Yeah, it's a little chilling there. The one thing I did think was cute is that everyone in the movie immediately recognizes him as a crocodile. There's not a single joke about someone mistaking him for an alligator. Like he will be, riding down the street on the back of a fucking wagon or whatever, and the cop will be like, "A crocodile just came by."
This is accurate.
So, Brennan, can I ask you a quick question? Is that because I've not even watched a single trailer on this? Tim talked about it. I think I blacked out. I don't even know. So I don't even know. Is this like the equivalent of Paddington, where there's everybody else is an adult or like a human, or is it all crocodiles and animals?
Oh, great question. It is a Paddington style thing. He is visiting. Well, he's living with a human family in a brownstone in New York City. Everyone but him is live action.
Okay.
Yeah, he was adopted as a small hatchling by a seedy magician very strangely played by Javier Bardem.
But like in a truly committed performance.
Oh, Javier Bardem is leaving nothing on the table. This is not I'm just going to sleepwalk my way through a movie for my kids. He is doing character work out the ass. It is kind of shocking and exciting. But so the crocodile sings. He is not taught to sing. He just has that as an inherent skill. So the seedy magician is like, aha, I will buy and exploit this creature. Teaches him how to do a show, but the crocodile has crippling stage fright.
Okay.
And so in order to pay off the extensive debts he accrued teaching a crocodile how to sing and dance, the magician has to go on tour. That takes him away from New York for 18 months, during which time a very tepid family moves into the brownstone, and the child, played by one of the Fegley boys, I already can't remember which one it is, befriends him.
Yes, and the mom is Constance Wu, who is an actress I really enjoy, but very much coasting here.
Yes, Constance Wu is doing the opposite of Bardem. She's like, I do not have to put any quantum of effort into this performance, and she does not do so.
Yeah, no, she took after Shawn Mendes, who, again, was not involved in the film.
I do not know if Shawn Mendes is aware that he was the voice of a crocodile in a movie for children. I think he was just like, here's some songs by Pasek and Paul, Shawn Mendes, record them. And he did so.
Yeah, no, it is. And also, there is this very bizarre credit. I don't remember exactly what the wording was, but it was basically like Shawn Mendes provided by UMG Entertainment. And it just like they loaned him out to this movie. Basically the title character and lead character of the film is played by a series of needle drops, which is
Yes.
not heartening to me. But Bardem is great. The song "Look at Us Now" is interminably reprised about 800 times throughout the film.
I genuinely, like, that's obviously an exaggeration. I counted 4 reprises in addition to the original version.
Yeah,
which is fucking ludicrous.
Yeah, and
there are motifs in the Ring cycle that don't get played that many times.
If you thought that Pasek and Paul had overdone it when in the song "A Million Dreams" in The Greatest Showman, where it starts off with them singing as kids, and then Hugh Jackman and Michelle Williams are continuing to sing the song as adults, and it's been 6 minutes. Then there's a 1-minute dialogue scene, and then there's a reprise sung by one of their daughters. If that was not enough for you, then I've got great news. Lyle Lyle has you covered.
See, I actually didn't mind that Million Dreams bit. So maybe Lyle Lyle's for me.
Maybe it's your movie. My ongoing joke is that they only know how to write one song, and Lyle Lyle kind of called me on my bluff because it kind of only has one song. It just has it a shitload of times.
Yeah, their soundtrack is
it actually has 4 songs.
Which is not enough for an original movie musical.
Well, it is when you reprise one of them 5 times.
Jesus Christ, yeah. Sorry, what, Carrie?
No, I just was going to ask what you gave it.
I gave it 3 out of 10.
3. Okay. Oh, 3 out of 10. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But that's lower. So we're going to call that 1.5. And then Tim.
Yeah, sorry.
I gave it a C
A
minus.
C minus. You don't even math.
I gave it 2.5 stars.
I would have gotten there. So tell me one more.
That's actually closer to a
It
C
is a
plus.
C plus. I should
honest.
know that. It's very familiar for me in my past. But Tim, would you recommend this for children? Like, would my kids like this?
Only for children. If you as a parent can somehow like deposit your child at the movie theater and go watch some sort of violent Japanese horror pornography type film and then bring your kids out of the theater, that's how I would do it.
Okay. Well, I'll take note of that. Others that are listening, take note of that as well, and the police will be looking for you at the same time. But that said, thank you for sharing. Tim, you said that you have a movie even worse to share with us today.
Oh, I think Lyle Lyle Crocodile is perfectly harmless. I think it is, other than that its themes have perhaps a questionable relationship to hygiene and sanitation. I think that it is cute. I think the character animation of the crocodile, there's also an animated cat. I think the character animation is very sweet, and it's very expressive, and I like it.
Yeah, and I do agree with that. It just I had less truck with the that did not carry me as far as it did for Tim.
I respect that. The point being, I would not call Lyle Lyle Crocodile the kind of film that makes me wish that cinema hadn't been invented.
And which movie?
Do at least wish that horror cinema had never been invented, thanks to a certain film that opened this weekend. The 13th, count 'em, 13 films into one of the longest-running horror franchises in history. I am referring, of course, to Halloween.
It's that bad?
Ends.
Oh, yeah.
It's that
All right, tell me.
So perhaps you are familiar with the legacy of Michael Myers, who in 1963 stabbed his sister and was immediately apprehended by the police, spent 15 years in a sanitarium until he escaped, tore his way through Haddonfield, depending on which version of the story you're following, because there's 4. He perhaps tried to kill his other sister, perhaps just a random babysitter who he never met and would never meet again. Either way, 1978, he goes on a killing spree. 40 years later, in 2018, in the film Halloween from 2018, he comes back, he goes on another killing spree. 3 years later, 2021, he continues his killing spree in Halloween Kills. By this point, in that continuity, where we only have 3 movies so far, Halloween, and Halloween Kills, he's become a sort of legend to the small town of Haddonfield, Illinois, a kind of watchword for evil. So Carrie, do you think that you'd like to see a movie about Michael Myers?
I mean,
because good news, Halloween Ends is about some fucking 24-year-old kid named Corey.
oh,
It has nothing to do with Michael Myers, who appears in roughly, what would you say, Brennan, 6 minutes of the movie? 7?
I think that's I think 7 is fair, but some of those are compromised by things that I would not want to spoil.
how do you get away with only 7 minutes of the villain in the movie?
They don't,
Do
is
not.
the thing.
They don't. That's the thing. So Halloween Ends reconceives Michael Myers as simultaneously the embodiment of actual cosmic spiritual evil. Someone who doesn't even have to exist in order to create a sort of social narrative that the town of Haddonfield uses to define itself. And also just a dude, like some slimy, nasty dude living in the sewer. He's all 3 of those things simultaneously. Now, you might have noticed you can't be those 3 things simultaneously. So that's part of the problem.
Yeah, and this movie, it really positions him as the slime under the streets of New York City in Ghostbusters 2 that's making everybody really angry.
Absolutely. The town of Haddonfield has gone to sort of just angry. It's just a hostile, nasty place. It's 4 years later. It is now 2022. Everyone, for some reason that has nothing to do with the other movies in this trilogy, Halloween and Halloween Kills, they've decided that Laurie Strode, played for presumably the last time by Jamie Lee Curtis, she's responsible for Michael, which makes no sense and does not make any sense based on anything we've seen in any of the previous films, but that's her arc. She's like the weather crow or whatever you call it, the storm crow. She's everyone hates her, and everyone hates this kid Corey because in 2019 some little shitty kid locked him in a cupboard or an attic when he was babysitting, and he pushed the door down because he was starting to panic because the kid was making Michael Myers jokes, and he pushed the door of the attic so hard that he shoved the kid who was standing on the other side of the door over a railing, and the child snapped his neck and died horribly. And everyone in town believes he did this intentionally, which is strange and ridiculous, but, one gets it. But so basically, we have these two characters who everybody hates and thinks is just wicked and bad and vicious. And one of these two characters, Laurie Strode, deals with everyone's hatred just by kind of converting it into pumpkin pies, because that's who that character is. She's a nice grandmotherly homemaker. The other character, Corey, internalizes it, and it makes him turn evil, and then he goes into the sewers and meets Michael Myers, and he catches evil, much as you might catch herpes or smallpox.
Did he catch it the same way that you would catch herpes?
No.
I would
he
say
does not have sensual lovemaking with.
Oh,
with
I thought
Michael
maybe.
Myers.
although there is one very homoerotic scene with a knife, I would say.
I think I know which scene you're
Do you,
referring
Well,
And I
I'll
agree.
take my
I
answer
agree.
off the air.
to. No, I agree with you. But so this is a very thematically confused movie. It has nothing at all to do with the other 12 Halloween films. It has nothing to do with Halloween the holiday. It's not even really a very good slasher film, because nobody dies for about the first hour and 40 minutes of this 111-minute film, and that's that. And I hated it a tremendous amount, and it made me sad.
oh,
It's a film that I'm going to have to review after we are done recording this episode. So hopefully by the time you're listening to this episode, the review is up. I've never less wanted to review a movie as a professional critic. I'm just I'm bummed out that it exists.
that stinks. That stinks.
So that's Halloween Ends. Go see it.
Great
Great
movie.
I'll be buying the Blu-ray when Shout Factory inevitably releases the David Gordon Green Halloween trilogy on UHD. I will be buying it because I'm a goddamn
Well, that's
idiot.
that's exactly my question about the idiots. So, does this movie matter at this point, whether or not it's only 7 minutes of Michael Myers, whether or not it's any good at all, because people are so invested in completionism of horror films that they're going to see it anyway, even if it was.
That is accurate.
So why try? I said, so why
what?
try? From their standpoint, yeah, bring in some no-name people and whatever, and just do it if they're going to make money either way. I mean, that's probably the point they're at.
That's the entirety of Blumhouse's economic model, and lo and behold, this is a Blumhouse film. What did you think of it, Brendan? I know you saw this movie.
I liked it more than Tim. Corey is played by a moderately attractive young man, so that's cool. You can look at him and be like, "What if I ignore what he's saying? His face is not unpleasant to me."
He's a little bit too much underwear model for my tastes. He's just a little too blandly twinky.
Oh yeah, no, I agree, but I was looking for something, Tim.
I get that. You gotta find what you can find and there's not much else to find in that movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when you have a crush at work, just to have someone to look at, but it's not your type. Never mind. Ignore me. But
Now, for me, that was a young lady who read Ayn Rand.
of course,
During the lunch break.
so
I
hot.
get that.
Mhm.
I'm looking at him right now. He looks like he's on.
He's on what?
He looks like he's on drugs in his profile.
Oh, there's some real heroin chic
Okay.
going on.
Yeah, no,
for
I
sure.
feel that. It's kind of like a young Johnny Depp look, I would say.
I think it's a mean
that
thing to
mean?
say to young John.
Yeah.
Does that mean to Rowan or does that mean to Johnny Depp?
To
Oh,
young
it
Johnny
is.
Depp.
Okay. All right. Sorry. I'm deeply offended.
But yeah, so basically, okay, so because of the way that this character Corey, the embodiment of purest evil, is presented in the film, they kind of want him to have this Christian Slater and Heather's kind of sexy bad boy allure.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually honestly wish that they'd fully just plowed the train of the movie into that idea and just kept going with it to the natural endpoint therein. Because they don't. They can't commit to anything because they don't know the story they're telling or the theme that they're trying to evoke.
They do such a terrible job of starting out by making it seem like we're meant to sympathize. Corey's the main character of this film. Laurie is not. Laurie's granddaughter is not. Michael goddamn certainly isn't. So they start out by sort of making Corey feel like this underdog that we want to root for. And at a certain point, we can't do that anymore because he has become the embodiment of all things that are evil. But they've sort of not prepped us to lose that identification point. So the movie just kind of like goes around rudderless for like half an hour. It's very bad.
Yeah, it is just such a monumental miscalculation of what anyone would want to see in this movie. And so I've been having a lot of conversations with Ben about whether or not my problems with this movie stem from the fact that it is just such a conclusively poor entry in the Halloween franchise. Like, if my expectations of what a Halloween movie is kind of ruin that, versus, like, if I was able to separate it from the franchise and view it as a movie. But I also think that it's too inconsistent in what it's doing. It's too scattered and messy, and
it's a very confused film, and it is doing the Rise of Skywalker thing where it's acting like it is the culmination to its franchise. That is not correct. It does not culminate shit. But it so badly wants you to consider it as a Halloween movie, and also as a sort of like subversion of what a Halloween movie is. I don't understand how you could watch it without that being like the context.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And it's just so frustrating, especially because of the kind of like the way that they are trying to engage with the like legend of Michael Myers, which this whole trilogy has been trying to do and failing generally.
And it failing because it has this weird tension between like it has simultaneously wiped out all of the legend of Michael Myers by reducing it non-canon, but also trying to be like the movies. It's all very confusing. But I'm reminded of something that we discussed on Bride of Alternate Ending a while back, Brennan, when we watched the remake of Night of the Living Dead. Mm-hmm. And I said something to the effect of, I compare every single zombie movie ever made to Night of the Living Dead from 1968. Why would the remake of Night of the Living Dead be the only one I don't do that to? Mm-hmm. In the same way, I compare every slasher movie to Halloween, so why would Halloween Ends not... Why should I not compare it to Halloween Ends and find it horribly lacking? Or Halloween.
Yeah.
Find it lacking.
Very much. And it just completely lacks atmosphere. I don't think it's even trying to have atmosphere.
No.
There are a few gags that are amusing. There was a gag with a record player that I enjoyed.
The record player gag is good. There is a piece of incidental muzak playing in a grocery store that I thought was a very clever.
Did you just call it muzak?
It is muzak. It isn't music. It is music.
Is that like that's trendy term?
That's the brand name of that kind of like piped in music for elevators and whatnot.
Like sort of shitty sounding orchestrated instrumental versions of pop songs.
Did you just make this up?
No, it's a real thing.
No. I'm gonna have to fact check this one. Never heard. I've said muzak, but I say it because I'm trying to be like cute. Like, do you want to listen to some music? But not.
Okay, well, that is not working, unfortunately. I hate to break it to you.
I am aware that I am the most uncool person I know, because earlier this week I called something wicked, and my 11-year-old was like, "If you don't want to sound old, you're gonna have to start saying slay."
What I believe the kids now call things bitchin'.
I would. My kid or no, nothing is called bitchin'.
I love that you had to like swallow and brace yourself to say that.
That one
word.
doesn't roll off the tongue for me.
You're from the 90s. How can that possibly be a difficult word for you?
Talked about this. I didn't say it.
She can barely.
This is a bitchin' toaster strudel, lady.
I didn't. Again, I'm starting to get a hive right now. I've been thinking about it. I didn't say my first swear till junior of high school, and I said it alone.
Carrie can barely get through the word cedar.
Cedar. I can't even get through cedar.
I was thinking of that the other day.
I don't find that one vulgar, but I do find it very funny. Is what I see there. But yeah. So I think I'm just gonna start adopting the word slay. Let me know if it rolls off the tongue for me. I'm trying to make it really natural. So
I'll bet you real money.
I bet you're right.
Yeah. If we're comparing it to Wicked, I don't think you have the proper context for using slay, because it is not at all the same.
Very different. There's another one out there. It's called Cass. Or wait, what is the new one? Something is Cass. Come on, Brennan, you know what this is.
Like a reference to Mama Cass of the Mamas and Papas. I agree. She is
great.
I don't think that's it.
No, you cannot be slay. You can slay.
No, if I were to say I'm about to slay this next worth mentioning, would that feel Can I slay myself, or do you have to say, "Hey, Carrie,
Don't slay yourself.
don't slay myself"? Okay. I'm learning terms right now.
I have a hotline you can call if you're considering slaying yourself.
Do you have?
But no.
Me, though, like.
Carrie, I think where you're at right now, Carrie, this is some real slay. I think
No,
you're doing real well.
Timothy.
I'm
I know what you're doing.
No, you're using it as it's a noun, Carrie.
Yeah, I'm about to slay.
Slay is a noun.
Yeah.
Are you talking about
you're
like,
about to lay down
Santa?
some slay?
Okay. I'm gonna.
Where are you getting this, Tim?
I'm just being a dickhead.
Yeah, okay.
No,
right now.
Tim doesn't use these words accurately. Tim's still like.
I once said the sentence, I don't think I could ever use the word goat, as in the acronym, greatest of all time. And a friend of mine was so put off by me saying it, even in the context of the sentence, I don't think I can say this, that he begged me to never say it again.
I've never.
No.
That's where I am vis-a-vis slang.
No, look, you got to know that this is a character that Tim is playing on the podcast. I have met him in person once, and we had a very nice dinner at Porto's Bakery. And when they brought us food, he was like, "Slay, mama." That was like, you know.
I'm so mad that you just said that. I feel the need to defend myself as a completely out of touch, like, millennial boomer.
Asa would never say that ever. I can't.
That's what you think.
Asa again because
He's lived the lie for so long. He's become the lie.
Yes. With all of that said, try to hold me true. I'm going to try and throw in some slang terms in here, probably through the rest. But I'm going to tell you guys about my worth.
Are your slang terms going to be as artfully brought into the conversation of the movie as they were brought into the movie's screenplay? Assuming you're talking about what I think you're going to.
I don't even know the answer to that question. I don't think this is a screenplay. Is it?
All movies have screenplays.
Well, then maybe it is, because this is a movie. I saw this movie. So let me tell you what happened. You guys are going to be like, you're such a weirdo. But my kids got invited to a party to watch this movie, and I dropped the kids off. And instead, I stayed. I invited myself to my 11-year-old's party at somebody else's house because I didn't want to miss the movie because it was so good and I really wanted.
You have Disney Plus, Carrie.
I know, but here's my thing. I watched it with 12 kids. All the other parents did leave. I thought maybe some other people would stay because they were into it. They did not. They all did leave. But I wasn't going to miss the chance, I thought, to see Hocus Pocus 2 through children's eyes or young teens' eyes, whatever. Okay? What a mistake.
Okay.
It was a disaster. So this generation is doomed. They did not at all understand the bits. They didn't understand the bits. They didn't understand the comedy. They laughed at all the wrong spots. I was super annoyed. I was like, this is hilarious. But the only saving grace, the real gift of this entire event, and the reason why I'm still not completely horrified that I stayed at a children's party, is that the other mom that was hosting watched it with me, and she and I were just tracking. Like, she was just like, she knew all the parts. She knew all the gags that tied back to the original Hocus Pocus. We gave each other the side eye at the funny parts. We laughed at the funny parts. We judged all the kids that didn't laugh when they should have laughed, and like all the things. It was amazing.
Here's how I know that story is a lie.
It's all
You included one too many details. The key to a
Yes.
story is not to include details that you can't verify.
Okay.
And I watched Hocus Pocus 2
Yes.
this evening, actually.
You did, I wonder.
I did. And you said that you and the other mom laughed at the funny parts.
Oh, don't.
Since there are no funny parts in Hocus Pocus 2, that's how I could tell that you made that story.
I am going to slay you for saying that.
That is an accurate usage of the word.
Yeah, Tim.
Not in its slang incarnation.
Would you say that Hocus Pocus 2 is mid?
I would not say that, but other people who are comfortable using that word might if they had the same reaction to it that I did.
I think it.
It's not even mid. It's sub mid.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
You're losing me.
Dead ass. It's sub mid.
Dead ass? What's a dead ass? All right.
That just means like
I think those are the villains from Evil Dead 2.
You can't make jokes about these slang terms because honestly, I'm gonna lock these in and I'm gonna start.
no. Deadass is real. That means like
Deadass is a slate
Okay.
term.
yeah, that's like
For sure.
For sure.
So mid is
Mediocre.
mediocre. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. This movie's not mid. This movie is
No, it's not. This movie
upper mid.
is dead.
This movie's upper mid, and we haven't gotten to your opinion yet, Tim. Let me tell you why everybody else you should go see this. So I don't care what anybody has to say, especially you, Tim. Bette Midler, Kathy Najimy are magic. Their facial expressions, their energy. I can see you wanting to say something.
I want to say something nice.
Okay.
I want to say something nice. Sarah Jessica Parker is better in this film than in the original.
So funny you were going to say that, because I was about to say they're pure magic, and Sarah Jessica Parker is exactly as you would expect.
Well, maybe I just don't have the gene for appreciating Hocus Pocus.
I don't know that you do.
I'll stop talking. I'm going to mute myself specifically so that you can talk.
Oh, you actually did mute yourself. I do agree. This is the best I've ever felt. No, so I'm just free to talk about this movie. This plot is absolutely satisfying enough for a vehicle for this three to reunite. Like, that's where I'm at. Like, it is. I don't know that I'll remember all the details. I don't know that, but it's fun. It's quirky. It hits all the Halloween feels. I loved seeing these three together. I thought the kids that come in to like be a part of this, Tim's grabbing his face. They basically, it's the same plot line as the original. These group of people or friends.
Basically,
It's similar.
yes.
It's similar. In the first one,
it's a carbon
copy. But that's what we want. That's exactly what we want. Do we want anything else? Here's where this movie goes up a notch, though. It is a carbon copy. But what's super fun about it is it comes to modern day. It gives us a backstory of how they came to be the Sanderson sisters. And then it brings them into modern day. There's absolutely some really funny bits. Again, side eye with the other mom, with like them figuring out how to use the Alexa. Hilarious. Them figuring out Walgreens. The Walgreens bit for me, just pure joy. That's because Tim's lacerating his body in the video.
You know they had Walgreens in 1993, right? Like they've been around when Walgreens existed.
Well, now that you're saying that, Brennan, I can see that point. But it was less common then. And was it? I don't know.
Well, I mean, insofar as many Walgreens have opened and very few Walgreens actually closed, it's like McDonald's in that sense. Yes, there are more Walgreens now.
That's a fair comment. It's maybe a bit of a plot hole. Okay, we'll leave that where it is. But there is a fun bit where they go, do they have Roombas back in 1993? I think not. The whole Roomba situation, I think, was also hilarious.
They're off-brand Roombas called Broomies.
Oh.
In which they ride on. Oh my gosh. I, again, laughed. It wasn't actively bad in any way where people like Tim might see it and be like, this is so bad. If you are a person who loved Hocus Pocus, this is what I'll say. If you're a person who loved Hocus Pocus 1, this hits. Because I think it brings them back, and I think the three of them together are still really wonderful, and it's funny and sweet, and I liked that the ending of it was unexpected, and it took more of like a softer, more emotional twist in a way that, as I am rounding into the life phase that I'm in, I needed. I was like, that's just like a sweet ending, and I liked that.
I am curious if you had done a THC gummy before you went to this mother's house, because that would maybe explain, because when you're high, you tend to think things are funnier than they are. Maybe
This is true. This is true. I had not. I did have one glass of mead wine while I was there, but only the one. And at this point for me, that's just a drop in the barrel. So
That's true. That's very true.
Again, I'm throwing it out there. Hocus Pocus fans, people that have souls, because you haven't met up with the Sanderson sisters, you'll love this movie. Because Sanderson sisters suck your souls.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
That's right.
So you guys, I don't actually. You know what? Let's just move on. I don't actually want to.
How many stars you give it?
I mean, I only saw it an hour ago, and I'm riding the high.
Oh, I can tell. That's what I said.
Gosh. No. The other high, the high of life, the high of joy. It's up there for me. I mean, Hocus Pocus 1 is really, really up there. So, if I'm being honest with myself, it's probably like a 3.5 star movie, 3, 4, 5. I don't know. I have to process it. But I will say I went in concerned that it wasn't going to be good, and I left feeling pleasantly satisfied. So this is Hocus Pocus.
I'm glad.
Yes.
I'm glad you had.
You
a
don't
good
love
time.
Bette Midler?
As Roger Ebert once said, I love movies too much to ever want somebody to have a bad time watching one.
That's what he said. That's not you at all.
But I'm quoting it.
I see. That's fair. That's fair. All right. Well, I'm glad.
And I can give you one last piece of comfort, Carrie. Because we sent that review out to Rionok, I won't be reviewing it, so you'll never have to encounter my.
Oh, you know what? This is a happy Halloween indeed. And so we're just going to go right to it. We're going to head to that break. But before we head to our break, you might be wondering about ways to support the show. You can join Patreon and get early access to exclusive content, make us watch a movie, pick your own episode topic, and more via our Patreon site, just like Jamie Van Struth, who picked up our Emmy Award, and Colin Wagner, who picked up our Razzie Award. This entitles them to early access to reviews. I already said that. It also gives you Tim's exclusive TV reviews, disturbing behind-the-scenes videos of Tim's apartment, his underwear, and things like that. That was one I didn't tell you about, Tim, that I sent out. But nevertheless, it's very clean. And then beyond that, you can also, at that Razzie Award level, get access to Movie Club, which is even more fabulous because we have Brennan hosting our movie trivia every couple months. And we also do Movie Club watch parties. I think this month we're going to try and get in another one before Halloween because we all love horror movies, and try and catch a watch party with something extra spooky before Halloween comes. So you can get out on our Patreon and do that. You can also support us on Amazon, and one day when Rob returns, we'll talk about what those things are that you purchased.
Is Rob returning, or have you killed him and stuffed him into
for 3 weeks right now?
Good God.
Wow.
Damn.
I know. And it's like we've all just sort of settled it.
So he's gonna miss spooky season. He's gonna miss all of our horror things.
He will be home. No, so he gets home he'll be back for one. So he will be home. He's already been gone for a while. But he gets back. He's been gone just long enough for something completely horrifying, which is probably the scariest thing of all, which is when I had to host Polish Culture Night at my child's school earlier this week. Oh. And I happened to be German. So we missed that, which was fun. I served over 500 pierogies to over 750 people.
That is less than 1 pierogi per person.
I ran out of pierogi.
What sort of penny ante pierogi restaurant do you run there, Jarzynski?
Horrifying. You know how I am about food. I don't like people to be hungry. I don't like running out of food, but I completely filled my crock pot with pierogies. I'm already pissed that I'm there because I'm not even Polish. I don't even want.
Your people conquered Poland. You shouldn't have to celebrate the Poles.
Monsters. And here's the thing. This is the thing that's really bad. If I'm being honest, when people were coming around, not that it's wonderful to be Polish, but for some reason I felt like obligated to tell people that I was German and English. Like I was just like, I'm not Polish. Like I don't know why. I like went into an overdrive. Literally 750 adults and children came to my booth, and I had to talk to them about the history of Poland. For the first half of it, I was talking to them about Marie Curie, and then I looked at my poster and realized that her name wasn't Marie. It's Madam. It was Madam Curie.
Well, Marie was her name and Madam was her title.
Great. Well, I just talked.
In the same way that you are Mrs.
Oh,
Jarzynski.
Great. I thought her first name was Madam for a minute there because the poster said Madam. And I was like, I thought it was Marie. So then I was like switching between the two. And then I had this little box. I had this. Oh, let me just tell you for a second. I need to like vent this off because I haven't been able to tell anybody about it.
This was the Amazon read, right? That's where we are right now.
And in the absence of the Amazon read,
continue venting
about my Polish night. So I get there. On top of this, I come in there with my like janky ass poster. I've like glued like Alice wrote Poland and like scribble letters at the top. I have like printer paper like glued to it. Walk into this gymnasium. It's like parents just like showing off how like neat and amazing they are. So everyone has these like epic presentations that are like on like science boards, like the ones with the flap. I literally just have a crock pot with pierogies and a poster board.
And the word Poland written on a poster board.
On it. And then
Was the poster board at least one of the 3 colors of the Polish flag?
unknown. You're gonna have to.
Was it white?
It was not. It was not.
Oh my god!
It was not. There were hearts all over it. I was like, yeah, let's dance it up with some hearts. Like, put some hearts on there. That sounds great. There's just basically hearts in Poland, and then Madam Curry written on this poster. Then I thought I was being super cool, and I brought like a little jewelry box, and I put a glow stick in it, and I was going to scare the kids when they went by and pretend it was radium, and like tell them about how like radium will kill you if it's not controlled. I don't know what I was thinking. Then to top it off too, I was like I had a couple trivia questions that I was throwing out there. Well, then some lady hits.
What is Marie Curie's first name?
What is Marie Curie? That was one of them, and I got it wrong. And then the lady comes around. So I've been like giving these trivia questions for like the first like 300 people. And I was like, what is the second largest Polish speaking city in the world? And they were like, oh, is it, New York or whatever? And I was like, I'm sorry, ma'am. It's Chicago. She's like, actually, I don't think that's accurate. I was like, I think it is. She's like, oh, I'm actually 100% Polish. And I was like, oh. I was like, I'm German. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I don't know. So I think I was giving bad facts to people for like 2 hours. Again, it was a train wreck. And then the worst of the worst was the running out of the pierogies. I was like, then people are coming by, and I started to, I'm not proud of this. I started to like sort of lie a little bit. Like people came by and they're like looking for food. And I was like, these like high school boys came by and they just cleared me out of all my pierogies. I didn't really do that. Like, I was like,
a raccoon came in.
I was too ashamed to admit that I didn't have enough pierogies, that I lied and said that like there was a run on my pierogies and that somebody took them all.
You should have just said the Germans took them all. And
You should have.
Everything. They're the worst.
As a German, you don't believe that the Poles deserve their own food. Therefore, you didn't even bring pierogies.
Like only certain people get them. Like I'm really exclusive with my pierogies. This is all leading back to the fact that Rob is gone for a few weeks. And again, my resentment is just really, I've got a nice vault of situations that he's put me in since not being here, including.
And so are you saying you resent him for putting you in this position, or are you saying that you put this incredibly half-assed mockery of the people of Poland as a manifestation of your resentment?
That's something I'm gonna have to process with a therapist. That's the good question. I don't know. It's probably a little bit of both. Now that you're saying it out loud, I think that actually makes sense. But I'm gonna write that down. But I just want to thank you in this moment because it's been 5 days since the pierogi German night incident, and I haven't been able to talk about it. So I feel better now. I feel better.
Well, we are very, very proud of you for restaging the Polenfeldzug in a gymnasium.
I wish you, if only you could have been there. And then the last thing I'll say on this is when I am very nervous and I feel like underprepared, I get more theatrical. So the pictures that were posted to me on the website are like arms flailing in the air and like being very dramatic because I felt like I had to overcompensate for my poster board, but like being very theatrical in my description of Madame Curie. So it was just a shit show.
Oh my god.
I'm so embarrassed. So anyway, I'm glad I really represented Poland well. You're welcome, Rob. You're welcome.
So I want to...
Oh,
Sorry,
ahead.
yes?
No, you go ahead.
I want to do a quick kind of role play.
Yeah.
So Tim, I want you to play a kid coming up to the booth, and I'll play Carrie, and I want to see if we can accurately capture this moment.
Okay. Hi, Myth. Do you have any pierogies?
I'm German, and Raccoon stole the pierogies. Do you know Marie Curie's first name?
Madam.
Yes, I have nothing to give you. Do you want? Do you want me to? My daughter can write the word Poland on your forehead.
So accurate. It's the bad part. It's so accurate. I had colored
Wait,
stickers.
why did you have to do all this? Why didn't Alice have to do anything?
Well, there was all this good food at all these other booths. Ghana brought all friggin' Jollifree and like rice and like chocolate balls with sprinkles that they all handmade. Like all these people handmade all this food. Then on top of it, I will say I didn't lie about this. I have done this, lied in past years. This year I just was straight up honest. People were like, "Did you hand make these pierogies?" I was like, heck no. Do you know how hard it is to make pierogies? I'm German. No, I bought these from Costco and I pan fried these for you. But I was like, you know how much time it took me to pan fry these from Costco? And people were like, "Oh, sorry, ma'am. Sorry. They're very good." I was like, just eat your pierogi and move on.
I'm surprised that you got 750 people at the booth and they weren't scared away by your brittle flailing and skittering around.
I am very congenial in person. People wouldn't. That's the other thing. People wouldn't leave my stand because I was so theatrical.
They were probably wondering if you were going to stab them if they walked away.
I don't want to walk away from this very tenuous situation. Yeah,
That's a real, like, when you see the bear rear up on its hind legs, you don't turn and run sort of situation.
She's gonna approach. Just freeze where you are and hope that they walk.
Crouch into a ball and hope it goes away.
That is, now that you say it, entirely accurate. So until next year, when we do this again, I'll share how it goes. Next year, I had to ask for tape to put my poster on the wall. Everyone else was standing on their table. But alas, next year, I'm forcing this all upon Rob. He will handle it all. But when he does rejoin us, we will talk about more Halloween movies. But with that, we're going to head to our break now. But when we get back, we're going to be talking about our number one movie that we love to see to get us in the mood for Halloween. All right.
How is that not part of the preamble? Good God Almighty.
I had it as a possibility. I had to get it in
That was
there.
good
I
shit.
had to get it in
That
there.
was good shit. Oh my
I
God.
have to wait for the right time for these things. And
No, it comes naturally. You can't force it. It's got to
I
come.
want to be
Gotta
honest
come
with
natural.
you. All of it is accurate. So
I bet. I believe
all
it.
of it is exaggerated.
Well, yeah, if there's one thing I've learned, it's that you are scrupulously honest when under pressure.
It's overwhelming for most. It's overwhelming. So again, to the point where I'm like, yeah, I actually had a situation where a couple of years they asked for,
I could just hear some nice suburban soccer dad and his husband coming up and asking if you made the pierogies. You're like, no, I fucking bought them from
I
Costco.
fucking rolled 500 pierogies. No. Do you know how busy I am? I have a full-time job, asshole.
Yeah, I have a podcast that I won't tell you the title of, but it exists.
I won't tell you. What is it? I'm not telling you. I'm telling you.
I need to get water. I'll be back. Holy shit.
Good time.
Although also, that sounds like some real bullshit that you had to provide enough food for 750 people as a, household.
Yeah. And the other thing is, part of it is we had no idea how many people were going to come. So, when I did this for Abby, 4 years ago, and Rob was there. So he was, helping with all the stuff. I didn't go through that many. But I don't know if it was just, pent up demand to, get together. I don't know what it was. But there were just so many people. So many people passed through. So I had the same amount that I brought in, 4 years before. 4 years before, I brought a bunch home. And I was just out this year. So I was just again, those kids, those ruffians. There were some 15-year-olds. It's just that I was already out of pierogies by the time they came.
I also, in my head, I had a brief vision of you, trying to, quarter the pierogies or something as you were handing them.
So, no, I didn't do that. But Alice, I was so mad at her. She was trying to be helpful, and she was, taking the tongs to, put them on the plates. Dropped, 4 or 5. And I was like, really want to, take those off the plate that I put them on? Because she, dropped them and, placed those on. No one will know they fell on the floor. But I didn't.
That's appropriate that you did not violate the health codes of the great state of Wisconsin.
I had gloves on, and I'm picking off like fishing pierogies out of the garbage to put up. I like thought about it, which is the most upsetting part. Oh, what a night.
I'm angry that this part of the conversation happened off mic.
I'm
you
still
know,
recording, so you
Yeah, we
Same.
Brennan can do what he will with the out
Why do we even have a movie podcast? Why don't we just have like
life.
fucking food podcast?
I think it should just
or
be
something?
the happenings of our lives.
I think so.
It's a blend of both. It's always been a blend of both. So
I am not ready, by the way. I still need a second. The pierogi story ended me a little bit.
I just wish you could have been there. You would have literally been cowering in the corner. That's why my kids started to abandon me because, again, I was like flamboyant, if that's the right word, and like
I'm sure
very
it was.
over the top. And they're like, "We're gonna peruse some of the other booths."
Okay. I think
All right. Welcome back to Pass the Popcorn, where we're here talking about our movie that we're most excited about to see to get us in the mood for the spooktacular things that are come, because Halloween's coming. That didn't feel right, but I'm gonna go with
things that are come.
it was very biblical.
it was. But we all three of us, the one thing that we can agree on is we love to get into the mood for Halloween. Can we agree?
And I will also say that I do hope that things that are come happen to me on Halloween and Christmas.
All
Both
the holidays.
All the holidays.
Exclusively
I
the
hope for things that
holidays
are
for
come.
me. And so we're here to talk about those things. So you can only bring one. That's the criteria for today. You only get one movie, Tim. I know you're going to probably try to slide in a couple others, but you can only pick your number one, your go-to. Doesn't necessarily your scariest, but you can set your own criteria of why you chose the movie. But again, the rule is you only get one.
Okay.
And you got to sell us on it. I got to see if it's one that I should see, because this is the time of year where I also want suggestions for new ones too.
So am I starting?
I don't know. I think I'm gonna throw it to Brennan first. I kind of want to start off there because I think he'll be like a middle ground between the two of us, where his movie will be of quality and one that I'll want to see.
Yes, Brennan Klein, who is noted for his populist and not like weirdly insular horror picks.
Exactly, and that's why
Well, I look for this prompt. I think it is a prompt that invites populism.
Yes,
that said, I have picked probably the most populist cult film that exists because I picked the Rocky Horror Picture Show. This was a really difficult prompt for me because I don't have movies that I watch every year for any reason. I tend to watch new movies or watch old movies. I tend to watch movies that are new to me more often than I rewatch films. Unless I'm showing them to someone. And I was thinking about going for like a ghost story because I think that that's something that really evokes Halloween to me because that is the time when the veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest. But I could not pick the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and it's partially because of the community around the film more than the content of the film itself. Just in the sense of like the revelry and costumes and just the vibe that comes with a midnight screening of Rocky Horror does kind of blend perfectly with what I would want to do on a Halloween night if I ever went out. It's been 7 years or so since I did go out, but I did go out to a screening of Rocky Horror on that Halloween. So it is consistent with my tastes, I would say. And the movie is just like glorious, over-the-top musical pastiche of horror through the ages, and it captures the kind of like chintzy can-do spirit of a homemade Halloween, I think, even though it's not a Halloween movie in and of itself.
Have you seen it, Tim?
Oh yeah, a few times. I've seen it at home, and I've seen it at like live shadowcasts and whatnot. As I think Brennan and I have actually talked about. It was our very first episode of that other podcast we do.
Bride, yeah.
Bride of AE. I was like, here be horror movies. I don't know what it's fucking called. But yes, Bride of AE. I like watching it at home more than I like watching it as part of a big old community. In part because I do like it as a pastiche. I think it's a very fun homage to 50s sci-fi, to sort of 40s horror. It has some very explicit nods to RKO, the studio where Val Lewton produced all his great horror films in the 40s. And I think some of that gets a little buried under the pageantry of seeing it with a big, hugely enthusiastic crowd, which is certainly a life experience I recommend. I think everyone should see Rocky Horror live once, but it is not my preferred medium for the film. But I do like this film, and I completely agree with your logic, Brennan. I think it is very, it is theatrical and artificial in a very like playful and fun, and like very enthusiastic way. I like your sort of like chintzy homemade costumes thing.
Thank you. And I actually I prefer to watch it at home as well. But for a Halloween vibe, I think that I'm picking the kind of midnight screening situation.
Sure.
Is it scary?
No.
No. Okay.
It's gory, but it's not
Okay.
scary.
And when you said pastiche, if I'm being very honest, I'm thinking of like that phyllo dough type stuff.
It's I was gonna say it's a dish made out of linguine with some pesto, and I usually sprinkle some
No.
Romano
Pastiche
pecorino
is
on it.
like the one that's like it's like a crust.
That's pasticcio.
No, is it? No, it's the one that has like potatoes and meat in it, like a meat pie.
What's the meat pie?
It's like a pastiche. You eat a pastiche, and obviously that's not what it is, but that's also another word.
Pastiche is a fancy word for parody.
Oh, okay, all right. So what's it a parody on?
50s sci-fi and 40s horror.
Okay, so it's sort of mocking it, is what you're saying a bit.
No. Well, that's why it's a pastiche. It's not mocking it. It's loving it.
Yeah.
Parody would mock it.
Yeah. Pastiche is like pastiche and parody both take the tropes of something and kind of mix them in a vat. But pastiche is very much it doing so in a loving way that is just recreating the thing that it loves.
Okay, that's fair. Well, I've always had this on my list of movies that I should see, but I don't know. Is it too quirky? Is it too out there for me, or do you think it's one I could get by with?
I think you get by with it. It's a musical, though, and I know you don't like musicals, and I weirdly think that might actually be a hang-up for you.
Is it like Sweeney Todd-ish, kind of?
Kind of.
Yeah, I'd be
There's
curious.
some Sweeney Todd in it.
Because you are full of surprises, Carrie, with the things that you respond to or not. It is totally a movie that I don't think you would have any reason to object to or think was actively bad, but I don't know if you'd like it.
Do you think that non-heterosexuality is viciously immoral?
No.
Then I think that you'd be
Okay. All right. Well, maybe I'll give it a try. Again, I'm trying to add to my list because I'm going to try to binge as much as I can between now and Halloween. So
Well, I mean, as long as Rob's not around, you got to watch all the good movies.
that's true. That's true.
Before he makes you sit through the Marvel Cinematic Universe with your girls again.
That's true. I'm never doing that again. That was like the longest 6 months of my life. I also want to call out something you said, Brennan, about now being the time in which I don't know how you said it. Something. It's the
veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest.
Yes, you said that, and I went to a séance a couple days ago.
What?
I want to know, do you believe in that, like what you just said, or like what are your thoughts on it?
I don't believe in anything. And that's on me. That makes me very sad, but it's just how it works for me.
Just not. It's just you're here and then you're not.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, no, that's me. That's depressing, but there you go.
That's fine. That's fine. It's your thing. Tim, what about you?
I mean, I'm certainly not going to go to such nihilistic extremes as to say that I don't believe in anything. I believe in the immortal science of Marxism-Leninism, as we all know.
How does that apply?
Well, it does mean that I'm a materialist and that I believe that when we die,
Oh, okay. Well, that is also very sad. That's very so I contacted the dead.
Great.
Her name,
Which one?
How are they
her
doing?
name was Beatrice. And
So did you just pick one at random?
no, so we had a medium.
Isn't it meant to be someone you know who's dead?
No. So in this case, there was a group of us. There were like 15 of us. We go to the seance, and
Was it all 9-year-old girls again, or
Adults.
or
These were
like,
adults.
Okay.
Did you place light as a feather, stiff as a board before or after you did the
I
seance?
wanted to do that, but here's the thing. I am always the fingers. I can never be the board. And nobody wanted to be the board.
You just killed Brennan, Carrie.
Everybody
I
wanted
hope you
to
feel
be
good
the
about
finger.
yourself. Brennan's dead.
I'm just imagining your yearbook photo. It's like Carrie, the fingers, Darcy.
Fingers, Fredericks.
I just petrified of being the board. I was always like, what if they can't get me up with their fingers? Like I just was always petrified of that.
Oh, people. I bet they could get you up with their fingers if they tried hard enough.
I don't know. I was in a very bad accident once. Get me up with just your hands. It was
Honestly, no, that's actually more frequently the way to get people up than other means, I would argue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot less stress. There's a lot less moving around. You don't need to necessarily worry about finding the lube. I think it's
Are we losing what I was talking about here? Are we losing?
No, we've been fully on it the whole time.
I don't know if you're trying. So back to my seance.
Didn't you notice when I was like rocking back and forth and clutching my forehead, or were you just looking at Brennan?
I was trying to take a look at Brennan, but then I was like, he wouldn't do this to me too, would he? And then it's like, oh no, he would. He was trying.
So remind me when Rob gets back in a couple weeks and we do another horror movie episode. I'm going to ask if he's ever tried getting you up with his fingers.
Please don't. He's going to be like, what are you talking about? It's going to make no sense. And he's going to be confused. And he's just going to say yes. Yeah. That's what he does.
Rob, if you're listening to this episode, this is what happens when you're not here. Mm-hmm. You need an adult in the room. It goes very badly when you're not here. We've been talking for like 2 hours.
We need a medium.
Because I just want to say...
Speaking of mediums, tell us about your fucking seance.
Tell me what you were going to say first.
I just want to wrap up this portion of the conversation by saying that fingers have gotten me stiff as a board, so that it can happen.
You were just waiting for that moment. I needed to let you have that. And now back to the adult conversation where I conjured somebody from the dead. Okay. So
I think that's exactly what Brennan was talking about.
I can't continue to find segues back.
Sometimes you think it's dead and you manage to get it to rise again.
All right. Are you guys good? Are you good?
No,
I don't think
never
so.
again. Just talk. Just power through it.
Yeah.
Mute us if you have to. Turn off your speaker.
Okay. So Beatrice. We conjure Beatrice. This is all I'm going to say is this was my exact experience. Everybody, 15 people in the room, you get an individual piece of paper. Lights are super low. You can't see anything. You can barely see what you're writing on your piece of paper. You get this little slip of paper. I write down a question on it. Everybody does that's in the room. You fold it, hot dog, and then hamburger. And then stop running, stop.
No, that not even a sex thing. It just felt very elementary school, and that amused me.
Oh, I see. Okay. See, now I'm in a different track here. So you do that. You fold it. Then in all kinds of orders, it wasn't in the same order. We pass them all around. We send them to the medium. The medium, I don't know if you can, puts them in a triangle style where they're, standing up all in a row.
I'm sorry. I'm just at a point right now where you could say the word bluebird, and I would think that was a sexual reference.
I'm aware of that, which I'm trying to be very careful with my word choice right now. So you put these little things in an upright position. Okay, come on. I have no other way to say it.
You pluck your little triangles between your forefinger and your thumb.
Exactly. And then, again, honestly, it got super weird. So 15 people. He then, at random, before he even takes the piece of paper, he tells you what's on the paper. So the first person is I think their question was will my wife change jobs in the next 6 months? So first piece of paper, he's I'm seeing the number 6. And I think the answer is you should take the risk. He starts to answer the question. And then of course people start to reveal via their face, oh my gosh, this guy's talking to me. He did it with 100% accuracy for all 15 cards. He guessed what was on my card. He went through everybody and guessed it right and gave advice on what you should do. And I can't even describe it. He even furthered the conversation with so much detail. One of the people that was there was fostering somebody from Ukraine. And he was I feel like it's somebody from a war-torn country. And she was yeah. And she's but she's not here. And she's no, she's not here because she's back in Ukraine. She's or the guy was does she have, it's the family that's keeping her there, but not her parents. Her parents are gone. And the lady's freaking out. He did this with 100% accuracy for all 15 people. And all I'm saying is I don't want to Google how he did it because I'm loving the fact that I'm horrified by all of this. And the mystery of it is amazing. but I have zero
I
idea.
am certainly not going to poop in your cornflakes about
You
this.
feel like you
You're
know how he
happy,
did
I'm
it?
happy. I mean, I don't know specifically how he did it. I'm not a professional cold reader, but I have
And yeah,
vague senses of how he did it.
don't watch Nightmare Alley. Also, probably.
Also, don't watch
I did
Nightmare
watch
Alley.
Nightmare Alley.
Okay, never mind.
Well,
don't
don't
rewatch
rewatch
Nightmare Alley.
Watch Nightmare Alley.
Wait, so was the ghost answering the questions?
He was basically saying, I'm connected to like Beatrice. I'm a medium between her and she's the one that's able to sort of connect me to the answers. Like she can.
Got
it's
it.
on the
She was
paper.
peeking at all the cards behind your shoulders.
Yeah, but we're in like this tiny room. There's no mirrors here. I couldn't even like see. It was so dark and people's handwriting is so bad. I couldn't even see what's on the paper. So like, I have no idea how we did this. And it's like, I need to know. But then part of me's like, yes, it's just the great beyond and the spirit of Halloween. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So
If it make, if
is
it
this
makes
the
you feel
movie
good.
that you picked?
did I talk about my movie yet?
No.
I haven't even talked about my movie yet. I don't even know.
This is going to be the
who's that-
longest episode we've ever recorded.
It's not.
I was really, really hoping this was going to be a
It's
short
going to be
episode,
short.
too.
It's going to be short because my last one.
It's
It's
already,
already
not
not.
short.
Okay, sorry. Well, you can cut all of your dirty jokes out and we'll be down to like a 5
I would
minute
never.
episode. We'll be down to a 5-minute episode.
But you were going to have another leg of your random anecdote where you out yourself as a complete mark. Continue, please.
That is true. But anyway, that's all I wanted to share.
Here's-
I was curious if you believed in it.
There's another very cool spooky experience. Sometimes you'll be walking down the street and a man will invite you to find the lady, and he'll put 3 cards on the table, and one of them is a queen. And if you find the queen, he'll give you lots of money. And if you ever find such a gentleman, I think you should absolutely look for the queen, because I think you'll be able to find it, because I think you're pretty sharp.
Okay. I want to do that. I don't know what anything that means.
I am saying that you have just outed yourself as incredibly open to being conned by very simple shenanigans. And I love you. I love you very much. I'm looking out for your well-being, Carrie. Never give anyone money for anything.
I promise not to. I'll remember.
If your child asks you for money so she can buy lunch, assume she's trying to run a con on
Yes.
you and say no.
I do every time. I'm like, you don't need that chicken sandwich.
Exactly.
Speaking of chicken sandwiches, Tim, when you get scared, when you get freaked out, when you wanted to get into the mood for Halloween, what do you watch?
Well, I do sometimes eat chicken sandwiches when I'm scared, so that's
Good.
you did know that, so you do have a connection to the great beyond. I'm very impressed by that. So I want to first call you out by saying I did not come here with multiple movies that I was going to try to sidle in some sort of sneaky deaky way.
Mm-hmm.
I picked one movie.
Okay.
But first I'd like to talk about a TV miniseries.
Do it.
Now, I'm just going to real quickly say, I've gotten into the habit of watching Over the Garden Wall most Octobers since it premiered in, I think, 2015. Really just completely locks me into a very, very delightful autumnal state, and I highly recommend it. But it's not a movie.
Excellent. It's excellent.
It's a TV miniseries. Excellent TV miniseries, but a TV miniseries. The movie that really puts me in touch with all those, black cats and goblins and whatnot, is a film that's actually rather recent for me. I think I sort of have the reputation of being a guy who picks things that are old. This is not. This is merely a 15-year-old film. But ever since I first saw it, I don't remember when I first saw it. It was a while ago, but I completely, immediately just clicked with it, and it still... haven't watched it in a few years, but it still is the movie that just, feels... not just like fall, although it does feel like fall, but it just generally feels like sort of that specific night, trick-or-treating and telling ghost stories and walking past all the, cool but spooky decorations. And I am referring to 2007's Trick or Treat, written and directed by Michael Dougherty. It is an anthology film, sort of an anthology film, unlike a lot of anthology films where it's like, here's a story, stop, here's a story, stop, here's a story. It tells several stories that are all kind of braided together, which I'm not sure is exactly a strength, honestly. I think that it sort of does feel like the pacing gets a little wobbly because of that, but, whatever. But so you have these several different stories, each one of which is sort of a different genre of campfire tale. So we have, what happened to the kids who, disappeared one day, and we have the werewolf story, and we have things like that. And, it ends up being this just sort of, compendium of all these, super kitschy, Halloweeny things, but told super, super straight. And again, the look of the film is what I really love about it. It is very much in the spirit of the beloved John Carpenter film Halloween, in that it's like full of jack-o'-lanterns and paper decorations and strung lights and whatnot. But unlike, God bless Dean Cundey and John Carpenter, unlike Halloween, it actually looks like it takes place in the fall, and it has like sort of like thick blue-black look to the night, and you see leaves all over the place and bare trees. And it's just this wonderfully... I love decorating for Halloween. I love seeing what other people have decorated for Halloween. I think even more than Christmas, it's sort of my favorite decor holiday. And that is very much the vibe that this movie has. It's like you just sort of like plunged into a Spirit Halloween store. And you just kind of like let all of the beautiful, evocative, spooky tackiness just kind of wash over you. Plus... it's just like well made. The stories are well told. The acting is good. The gore is good. The surprises worked for me. Like there's a couple twists in there, and they landed the first time I saw it. So this is just a movie I find tremendously satisfying. That being said, it's not for everyone, and I know that. I was actually just discussing it with a friend of mine today who mentioned how much he hates this film. So it's not for everybody. He hates it specifically, I think, because it is too mean-spirited for his tastes.
I could see that. Do you and Mark usually agree on movie taste?
Well, I was going to anonymize this person because I did not want to out him on the podcast.
Say his name was John, like I planned to.
Oh,
His name isn't Mark.
Well, now we're just in it. I would say that the person who I'm describing has on-point tastes in horror. He's not a horror guy necessarily, but he's not a yo-yo.
Okay.
So do I think you would like it, Carrie?
Yeah, I want to try these. I think I'm going to like it.
Okay. And the other thing about Trick or Treat is short.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It is it's under 90. I'm not sure exactly how long it is. It's 1 hour and 22 minutes long.
Mm-hmm. And with the exception of perhaps of that kind of nastiness, I think this is totally a movie that would be in Carrie's wheelhouse. Like, it feels kind of Amblin-y in its approach to Halloween. Trick or Treat was my alternate choice for number one. Okay. By the way, it's a really, really good movie.
And it's
and to be clear,
3 individual movies though, or it's in 3 parts in one.
It's 5 short stories that have all been sort of braided together, so it doesn't. It's not segmented, but it is 5, right, Brennan? Does that number sound right?
That sounds right. It's been a couple years.
It is some number of short stories that have been braided together, so it's not like it has segments. They all start at the beginning of the movie. They all end near the end of the movie.
Okay.
But there is very little overlap between those stories. They're all sort of going as their own tendrils.
Yeah. And I will say, quickly in defense of the film Halloween, it does perfectly capture autumn in Pasadena.
Which is fine. Except for one unsteady little fact.
Yeah.
Which that it is not set in Pasadena.
That is true. I was literally in Pasadena just a couple hours ago, and they still got the big hedges. It's still the vibe.
Oh no, I mean I don't know what time of year it was shot, but I'm sure it looks more like Pasadena than it looks like Central Illinois.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
anyway, Carrie, what's your movie?
I have a good one for you. I'm going to sell it to you. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, and we'll see if you can get there. Oh, this movie. I at first thought
Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, that's it. Well,
go ahead. Do your bit. Do your bit. I want to know what your bit was.
In closing, it was nice.
Do your bit. I want you to do your bit.
There's no bit. I was just going to say that it doesn't have to be like I toyed with the scariest movie. Like, I do love to be scared. I'm watching Mike Flanagan's Midnight Society or Midnight Club or whatever it is. What is it called, Brennan?
I think it's Midnight Club,
something like that. I love it. I love jump scares. I love to get freaked out. I love to just like question whether or not I need to change my pajamas. Like, I love all of that. But that's not all. So I'm like, I have to have nostalgia. Like, I think about all the layers. I had to have nostalgia. I have to desire rewatching it and watching it every single year. I have to leave feeling better for having seen it. Like, I feel happier for having seen it. And now...
Okay, so this isn't Hocus Pocus.
It's still Hocus Pocus.
I'm sorry.
And now with kids, it's a little different too because I want to see horror or scary movies or whatever through their eyes. And I want them to also lay awake at night wondering if they're maybe like not going to make it to morning because the Sanderson sisters like their souls. Like, I love that. And I Hocus Pocus freaked them out. Like, we saw that probably, I don't know, maybe it was even last Halloween or something like that. They were really, really freaked out by it, more than even like Harry Potter 7, which is like crazy. I've even shown my 8-year-old like Lord of the Rings. I'm like, I'm kind of a bad parent. Like, some of those are scary, dark things. And they were really freaked out more by Hocus Pocus. So again, it was just like, it hits on all the things. And the minute I watch it, I'm transported back into just like all the vibes of childhood, and they love it every single year. And I feel like everybody should just have that one movie that just like transports you. And for me, that is Hocus Pocus.
I'm curious. So as you expose your children to movies, because you're hoping to freak them out a little bit, I know you and Rob watched Demons a couple months back.
Yes.
Did you guys watch those with them?
Yeah, they thought that wasn't quite edgy enough for them. Okay. So again, they did think that Sarah.
So they like the hard stuff. They're like a Serbian film, is where they're.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
And they thought Lamberto was just not as good as his dad, so
just doing a very unnecessary retread of Fulci. Is that what they thought? Because I don't disagree.
I would say that they would agree with you as well. Okay. I did want to point out, because you called it out earlier, Tim, Thora Birch. The element that was missing for me in this was the kids, and like that like dynamic in the first one is so much better.
You didn't love the witch teenager kids who were complaining because their friend like was with a boy, and they're like, why are you with a boy when you could be with us not being with a boy?
No, I mean, it was, again, I said it was a perfectly good vehicle for Bette Midler and Kathy Najimy, but I did.
And for Walgreens.
And for all of the facial products that they consumed while they were there. So again, the original still holds a far more special place in my heart, but oh, sorry, I just got distracted by your cat.
My cat meowed. Yes. My little black cat, who looks very much like the black cat who features in Hocus Pocus.
That I'll be dressing up as, and so be on the lookout for photos of me as a cat, as a subpar cat. So anyway, I have regret.
Technically, the cat will be a drag role for you. You know.
You're right. Is there anything special I need to do to pull that off?
Wear a codpiece.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I've got
cat penises are not very obvious.
Okay.
Unlike dogs.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good for me. All right. Well, then I may not do anything extra for it, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, okay. Just real quick about Hocus Pocus, I wanted to say, I've been a little mean to Hocus Pocus. It's not a movie that I have any particular nostalgia for. I came to it as an adult and was kind of unimpressed because that's not the time to come to Hocus Pocus.
You got to come to it.
Yeah, but I would say that for this conversation, I think picking something that is like heavily dosed in nostalgia is the right choice.
Yeah.
As it is for any kind of holiday tradition, because the point of a tradition is to connect the present day with the past, and just like kind of Billy Pilgrim style from Slaughterhouse-Five, just like live all of those moments through the years kind of at once, and I think that's a great choice.
Thanks, Brennan. I'm just going to leave it. It's just you in that.
You said come to it as a 10-year-old.
And in closing, thank you all for listening. If you're still here after this episode, go out to our social.
This is gold. Everyone's riveted to this episode. This is one of the best episodes we've had in months.
Okay. Go out to our social media page and maybe like it. We'll see what's out there. You can go to our Facebook page, Twitter, where we're tweeting sometimes, Instagram, where we're also sometimes Instagramming, and you can go to alternateending.com for mediocre reviews from Tim Brayton.
Hey.
You deserve
that's punching below the belt.
It is. I knew that one would hurt. I regret it a little bit, but I'm sticking to it. Go out.
And to that I say, slay, Carrie.
Boom. And that is the way to call.
Good callback.
Next week, we will be out here. We will probably be bringing a top 5 next week, so be on the lookout for
Let's say next episode, in case it is 2 weeks from now, not next week.
We shall see. Next episode, we will probably be bringing
I want us to have an insurance policy built in, is all I'm saying.
No one's holding us to it.
Oh, you haven't been in the Discord, have you?
Oh, sorry. So sorry. I told everybody
I'm on the academic job market. It is very hard to do anything.
I tell you about Rob being gone for 3 weeks and the pierogi incident. Now you know. Now you know what's happening in my life. Falling apart over here. But we're going to try our very bestest to be back next week, probably with a top 5 and also probably with something that's top 5 spooky. I would love as many things as we can squeeze in for Halloween. So be on the lookout for that on the website to make sure that you can play along. We'll catch you then.